Hey everyone! So this is going to be my first live. I apologize in advance if there are any issues, or if there's any lag or anything like that. I'll try to look at the comments as much as possible while we're doing this, but if I miss anything, please let me know. Also, if the sound is like choppy or lagging or anything like that, let me know, and I'll try to see if I can fix it. If not, then I guess I'm not going to do any more lives in the future. So thanks for joining me. I'm Dr. Ryan. I'm a veterinarian, and I'm a veterinary behavior residency graduate. For those of you who don't know what it means, basically kind of like in human medicine, there's also different specialities in veterinary medicine. And animal behavior medicine is basically like psychiatry. Only our patients are a lot nicer. What I'm going to do today is basically try and watch a video of the dog daddy with all of you, and I'm going to react to it. This is the first time I'm watching this video, so whatever I'm saying is unfiltered, and I'm trying to be very respectful. But if you saw my previous videos that I made about reviewing the dog daddy's videos, it does bring up some more intense emotions because of the methods that he's using. I don't have anything personal against him. I definitely have issues, big issues with his methods. But everyone makes mistakes. Let's hope that maybe this video is somewhat better. So yeah, let's dive right in. And again, sorry, this is the first time, so might be some challenges with the technology. Okay, let's do this. So hopefully now we should be able to see the video itself. Let me know if you can't. It's one of his new videos. It's called Fear Aggressive German Shepherd First Session with the Dog Daddy. It's important to know this is only the first session, meaning that he's actually continuing to work with his dog later on, which is important because many times people watch these videos and they think that this is kind of like you only meet the trainer one time and they're like crazy great results. And that's not true. With one session, usually you can't really change too many things. So it's better that people don't have this misconception. So good thing that he's actually writing that this is only the first session. But let's see. And by the way, fear aggressive German Shepherd, meaning that he actually already have some sort of diagnosis. And in many of the videos that I see him and other trainers do, the dogs are fearful. They're aggressive because they are fearful, and that means that you need to address the fear itself. Let's go.
So let me see the leash first.
Okay, so let's stop here. I'll try to do it. Thank you, Megan, for letting me know that you can hear. Good, and also let me know if there's like a lot of echoes or stuff like that. So I stopped the video because I want to start addressing what I'm already seeing. So you saw, I don't know what happened before that, right? I mean, it's an edited video. I don't know if this dog is fearful of only people, only dogs, both of them. If the dog is worse inside the house, inside of his territory, did the dog have this issue since the day they got him, or is it getting worse? So there are a lot of questions that we actually don't know. All we can see is that the dog is fearful. So yes, dog did a good job. He did do a good basically diagnosing the dog that the dog is fearful. And you see that the dog, as you wrote, Pop is trying to back away. really backing away. I mean, you can see how terrified the dog is. So let's talk first about what aggression is. Okay, because the video is named, like an aggressive dog, but the dog is not trying to bite anyone in this case. He is barking, and barking can be an aggressive behavior, but it's also a behavior that is trying to create a distance between, let me zoom on me for a second. It's trying to create some distance between the dog and the person. So if I'm afraid of someone, I'm trying to, stay away from the person, or like yell at him, stay away, I don't want you to get close to me, or anything like that. And this is exactly what the dog is doing. So I don't really understand why, if there's a dog that's so afraid, and you know that he's afraid, what you do is forcefully trying to get the dog to you. That's exactly what flooding is, like forcing someone to deal with his fear. And sadly, it's not even done in people that much. And I know that maybe later on people will write in the comments, no, they do exposure therapy in people. That's not completely accurate. There is such a thing, but don't forget that people have the option to say, no, that's too much. I don't want to continue with this session. I don't want to do this exposure therapy. They choose if they want to deal with it or if they don't. They can stop at any point. The dog doesn't understand anything. He's just being forced. And that doesn't mean that he's going to get over it. Let's continue watching. You can see how the dog is looking at him, but he's also
he's very scared. That's why he's acting aggressive. It's fear aggression.
In a way, even yell. I mean, so we hurt him that much that the dog was even yelping. And you see, the dog is not even trying to bite him or anything like that. He's looking at him and then looking away. I don't know if you were able to see it or not. Let me move it back for a second. The dog was actually lip licking. Then the dog that is, for some reason, even trying to touch the dog. And the dog is not even trying to bite him this entire time. But check this thing again. See how he's pulling so hard on the leash that the dog is actually yelping. And of course, like with any other dog daddy video, the dog is wearing a prong collar. See, lip licking, touching the dog. The dog is not even trying to bite him or anything. The dog is looking away.
Sit. Good boy. Good.
Look how he's cowering down.
It's okay.
He really doesn't understand what's going on. Every time that the dog daddy is trying to touch him, the ears go down, right? It's again, it's like a sign of fear. Look at it again.
It's okay. Good boy.
Look, ears go down. And the
dog also he doesn't know what to do with himself.
Sign of fear.
So you have the prong collar and the e-collar?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to take the e-collar off for now.
Nice of him that he's actually taking the e-collar. An e-collar is an electric collar, electronic collar, shock collar. That's, again, a tool that's meant to cause the dog to feel pain. Basically, not that different from the prong collar, but I do agree that it's much more complicated and might have more issues using that because there's no consistency at all. It all depends on the owners and not on the dog's behavior. Meaning that, let's say the prong collar, the dog is pulling too hard, then the prong collar will hurt him. With the shock collar, the owners can decide when and if they're going to shock the dog. So if they're not consistent, the dog is not even going to understand why he's being punished. Now, punishment needs to be done in a very, very, very specific way. It needs to be done with the correct timing and with the correct level. So if you're doing it not painful enough, or if you're doing it too painful, and if you're not doing it exactly when the dog is doing the behavior, and you're waiting even a second or two, it's not going to change the behavior no matter what. It will only cause the dog to be fearful. And that's why we avoid using punishment, because it's just too bad. You can't control it and it only makes everything worse. Let's see what else. So I do appreciate the fact that he's taking off the e-collar.
Because because he's like a skittish dog, I wouldn't recommend this collar for him.
I haven't used it much. The other trainer had used it on him, but I feel like when I use it, it makes him worse.
Right, because he's a very...
Yeah, it does make the dog's behavior worse. And he's even saying this dog is skittish. So to begin with, this dog is very fearful. So using aversive methods only makes things worse. So the prong collar, also an aversive method, also a method that hurts the dog. So I wouldn't use either of these tools, which is weird to me that he's actually saying that, you know, the dog is skittish, so he doesn't want to use the e-collar, but he's still using the prong collar.
He's very edgy already because he needs to feel secure for him to stop being aggressive in the first place.
Yeah.
So it's
awesome. That's so true. He needs to feel secure to stop being aggressive. Yeah, he needs to learn that, I don't know, strange people are not something to fear. And what does the dog daddy do? He uses a prong collar and forces him to actually deal with a stranger in his own territory. So he's actually doing just the opposite of what he's saying. So it's kind of sad, because I really appreciate the fact that apparently he does have a lot of the knowledge. He knows what the problem is probably here, but his methods are doing just the opposite of what he's saying.
You know, we want to correct and give directions, but mostly we want to also use methods that don't make him feel like he's doing something wrong.
Okay.
Because without teaching him another way, showing him another way if it makes sense.
Okay.
Because all the aggression that he has is coming out of fear. So like here, like I can trust him completely. Like it's more of like that reaction of like, there's something scary, I'm gonna bark at it until they go away. And he's young, so of course this can turn into something more serious, because fear, aggression, you know, if the dog learns that this aggression scares everybody away from him, and he gets older doing this, he's always gonna feel so confident that, you know, all he needs to do is attack them before they attack him.
Yeah.
Okay, that's also exactly true. Exactly true. I mean, seriously, I actually didn't see it in his previous videos, so it's great to see that he actually does understand. Alex is writing, and you're right, most of the dogs he handles don't try to bite, at least not at first. And that's really important, like at least not at first, because even he actually explains that this dog is learning that by being aggressive, again, right now it's not exactly aggression, but it is an aggressive behavior. So that by being aggressive, he will keep those strangers that are so scary to him, he will keep them away. So, you know, it might become worse. So yeah, the goal is to make this dog feel more secure. But what will happen if every time that you use something that scares you, instead of telling you, don't worry, everything is okay, and kind of like comfort you, or, you know, having you stand very far from what scares you and telling you, look, see, nothing bad happens. You want to try and take another step forward and see that if everything is fine, and kind of like do it gradually. No, but if instead that I will force you to deal with your fear, and while I'm doing it, I will also, I don't know, slap you or scream in your ear or something like that. Will it make you feel better? No, it will only make you feel even worse. So that's my my biggest concern in cases like that. Let's see, Miri is saying, a small correction, the dog won't learn that he needs to attack before the stranger gets close. He learns that he needs to bark. And that's exactly the opposite of attacking. It's meant to prevent it. Yeah, that's exactly right. Thank you for the correction. Yeah, so basically the dog is doing whatever he can in order to keep those people away. He will attack, and that brings me back to what Alex wrote. He will attack eventually if he learns that no matter what he does, that all of these behaviors will not keep the stranger away, then he doesn't have any other options than to bite. So, because that's the only way that he can make them leave him. We can make those scary people stay away. So that's why we want to do things gradually and, keep everything safe.
Yeah.
So he can turn into more serious aggression. But right now, he just really needs someone to handle him properly. It's like, honestly pretty straightforward when you know. I'm not sure how to do it. So the e-collar is a little bit more confusing for dogs like this.
Okay.
Where they will, unless they're really well conditioned to it, which again is just harder to do, they're just gonna feel like they have to watch out for that collar.
Yeah.
With the prong collar, they get more acclimated to it and they're more relaxed with it.
Okay.
And what you want to do is be more with the your body language to tell him when he's doing something wrong. Let's say he's getting defensive. What I'm going to teach you to do, come here. It's okay. What we're going to teach you to do is to tell him he doesn't have to be protecting himself when someone comes into the house.
Okay, so yeah, we do want to make him feel like he doesn't need to protect himself when someone is coming into the house. But if that's the case, then why did the dog daddy, as far as I can understand from what he was just doing, why did he actually make the prong collar even tighter? It looks like he took one of the chains, one of the pieces, and made the prong collar sit even like more tense on the neck. They don't get used to the prong collar. I mean, whenever it hurts, it hurts. That's how prong collars work. And I made more than one video on using prong collars and why all of these things that people keep saying about prong collars are actually not true. So I'm not going to go into that. But again, if you want to make the dog feel more comfortable, make him feel more comfortable. Don't make him, just stop showing the behavior, which is what will happen if he keeps hurting the dog.
But at the same time, there's going to be a certain demeanor from you that teaches him he's safe at the same time.
Okay.
Otherwise, if you just correct him, he's going to just be more confused and in fear. And because the trigger is still right in front of him, he's going to keep going back and forth.
Okay.
So like he might respect it with the e-collar, but then he's just so afraid that the moment that he feels like there's no other way out, he's going to go and be defensive again.
Okay.
Basically, what we need to do is when there's people around, we want to show him that it's okay. So yes, you first tell him no, leave it. This will tell him like stop what you're doing, but then immediately, okay, let's go. That's it. And see all this fear that he has.
Yeah, I mean that's even more confusing than anything here. Yeah, and let's see. What does he do when that color is off? That's a great question. From what I know about the dog daddy, it's probably gonna stay on the dog forever, because again, they keep correcting the dog whenever he's showing the behavior. Otherwise, the dog doesn't feel like he needs to hide his fear, and he will still bark or do whatever. With the prong collar, he might not bark, but he might bite once the person that is unaware to the fact that the dog is afraid, because now the dog is not barking and trying to keep him away. Now the dog will just bite him. So you're actually creating a ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
We gotta. There's a way we have to encourage him to just kind of like snap out of that. And the best way to do it is just kind of almost tricking him, manipulating how he sees things right now to get him to focus on other things. So right now he's just focusing on there's strangers in my house. I don't feel safe. I don't know what to do with myself.
Yeah.
But if you try to talk to him out of it or do pretty much anything else, he's not gonna understand. So what you have to do is kind of get him to just come on, let's go. Yes. Just gradually something like this. He's gonna try to get away. We're going to just be very casual, just moving around. It's okay.
So there's nothing gradual about what he's doing. He's flooding the dog. He's forcing the dog to stay with the people that he's afraid of. And he's also not doing anything casual. I mean, he's hurting the dog. What casual about that? I mean, look at the dog. I mean, look, I froze the picture here. You see the dog with his head down, his ears kind of rotated to the side. And I know it is a German Shepherd, so many times their tail is kind of down, but at least from this angle, it looks like it's much closer to to being between the two legs. I love this picture over here of the bull.
Let's go. So we're trying to create a neutral environment. So there's two new people in the house that he has never met. He's nervous, but we see like right there he's looking like, what do I do?
Constantly
Do I defend myself? Do I run and hide right now? Because he feels like he can't defend himself anymore. Since I took over the leash, it's confused. He's looking for a way out. He's just, trying to think what he can do to get out of here.
Okay.
So we want to kind of just teach him to just move around and be casual. And of course, it's like, you don't fix this by just doing something like one time and getting it over with. It's something that the way you handle him on a daily basis, you see improvement.
Also, that's also important to understand. You see, even without the dog daddy actually giving him any cues or any commands or anything like that, and of course the dog is constantly trying to get away, he's panting, his ears are, like you can see how his face is very tight all the time, and the fact that he's like constantly sitting down and when he's looking at the dog daddy because he's confused. So all these things that the dog daddy is saying are just the opposite. He is confused all of the time.
Every day, if you take him out and you handle him properly, but it's a matter of every interaction. So every time someone comes over, you have him on a leash already, you're prepared. When you go out in public, the same thing. What he needs is really a lot of hands-on experience, like practice, So like more people, he needs to be around more people. So I can show you every time there's a person coming around you or more people, if they run or if they talk to you, if they shake hands with you, how to handle all those situations.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is also an important thing. So again, I kind of like some of the things that he's saying, but I hate his execution of these things. So yes, you do want to expose the dog to as many people and in as many different situations, inside the house, on a dog park, while you're speaking to a stranger, different kinds of people, right? I always say the dogs are kind of racist. It's not racist because they, actually hate someone. It's because if they weren't exposed to a specific type of person, so if they weren't exposed to gingers with long hair and a beard, they might be racist against all gingers with a beard, or men versus women, or people wearing specific clothes, just because they didn't have the exposure. And also, if they were only exposed to those people inside the house, but not outside of the house, that's a whole different story. They don't always generalize. So the different location, the different the behavior is. And it's also important to know that you need to start doing this exposure, and again, gradually under the threshold at very specific period of the dog's life. So usually it's between 7 weeks to something like 13, 14 weeks of age. The more the dog is exposed to everything, the less likely he will grow up to be a scared dog. Having said that, again, some dogs are just fearful to begin with, even as puppies. You want to keep it under the threshold. You want to give them treats. You want to stay away from those people with enough distance that the dog is not showing those stressful signs, and gradually do things. Gradually. I can't emphasize more. It's really important to do things under the threshold and not to flood the dog and make him feel that stress. Let's see. Megan is writing, I've always wondered how he sees subtle changes in body language with sunglasses on the inside of the house. Yes, it's already tough to see those things. Of course, he always wears them, so he may need them. Just curious. That's true. And by the way, many people would comment when I do videos on the dog daddy and will say that this by itself might actually be very scary to the dog, right? I mean, he's wearing this the glasses, he's wearing the hat. I don't know if he's like very tall or not, but he's a man, so many times it's also something that scares dogs for some reason. And you know what? I actually don't know if he's seeing those signs and he's ignoring them, or if he's just not seeing. As far as the things that he's saying, he is actually seeing those signs. He is aware that the dog is fearful. He just decides to scare the dog even more. That makes a lot of sense, right? And let's see. And yeah, here it is. The sunglasses prevent eye contact with the dog. That's true. But the question is, do the dogs perceive it the same way? Because first, we don't know if I mean, dogs are smart. I will say that. So they do know that eyes are eyes, and that the sunglasses are probably not eyes. They don't think it's like big pupils, as far as we know, because there are studies that actually show that you can even show dogs pictures of faces with different expressions, and they can tell them apart. They're very smart, and they're very good at understanding people body language, and that's a big part of why they're so popular, and that's why they were probably from the first animals to be domesticated. But some dogs might not understand. Some dogs just find it weird that you're actually blocking some of your eyes, and eyes are a way for the dog to know where you're looking to, right? So now they don't even know if you're looking at them and making eye contact or looking away from them. And also, the sunglasses usually reflect light. And we do know that that sometimes might also be something that scares dogs. So yeah, I would probably prefer not to wear sunglasses while I'm working with dogs.
Because he's gonna start to feel more secure. He's just a very fearful dog. So once he sees that he can trust, which he'll see for himself, if you handle him properly, you put him in a position where he has a chance to see it. He sees that someone can come and shake your hand, nothing happens. Someone comes into the house, nothing happens. So that each time it happens again, he's like, oh, okay, I know what to expect from this. It's not a big deal.
Great. You don't want to be.
Now he's standing a little bit more like, yes, good job.
Yeah,
if you want to be on camera,
he's still looking away. I'm not gonna make you watch the ad. He's still
the camera,
looking
you want to
away.
do radio,
so
podcast, whatever it is.
Doing well.
All right, so kind of just hang out.
Technically, he's not. He's really fearful. Let's see, just a sec. Okay, I apologize. I understand that when I'm talking during the video, you can't really hear what I'm saying, so I'll try to avoid it.
There for now. Stop there. And then let me see the leash. Good. Okay, let's go. Come on. And then stay still. So
yeah. So again, I'm confused. It is edited, so I'm not sure exactly what he told the owner before or what his goals are here. But I'm confused on why did he let the owner hold the dog first, and now he's taking or trying to take the dog away from the owner again. So you see how the dog is resisting going to this scary stranger. This is flooding. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. It's flooding. Flooding is never a good thing.
So another thing is, just the two separate things that we're doing right now. Let's go. Good boy. It's okay. Good job. So one is, that was great. He didn't become reactive.
Yeah.
He wasn't aggressive, but he's too afraid to face his fears, to step away from you and come towards me. So we're gonna practice with that too, because what that's teaching him is that even though it seems so scary, when he steps out, nothing happens.
Yeah.
And if he starts to get that idea.
So again, I feel like I keep repeating myself. He's aware that the dog is too afraid to face his fears. He's too afraid to face his fears. So what are we gonna do? Let's make him face his fears. But you just said that he's too afraid to face his fears. Why not teach him, and that's his goal, to make him feel better? Why not show him that things are actually not scary? And how do we do that? By counter conditioning, by desensitization. What he's doing is sensitization. We want to do desensitization. We want to create this positive environment and everything positive, basically, while we're dealing with this scary thing. And then the dog, the brain, will make this 1 + 1 = 2. Like when I'm seeing this stranger, I'm getting a treat. Or when I'm seeing this stranger, someone pets me. Instead, he's getting, when I'm seeing this stranger, I'm being yanked on a prong collar, feeling more pain. So this stranger is associated with pain. Will that make you feel better?
Idea that things are not so like scary as he thinks, he will start to become more of a comfortable dog.
Okay.
You know, in situations that can be a little scary to him.
Yeah.
So let's practice that a couple times. You can just go back to the corner there, like to the other side of the room. This is really gonna help when you go to the vet and you're just trying to handle him over to the vet.
Okay.
He won't feel like he can't let go of you because he's see, like right now he's still looking for a way out.
Yeah.
The more we do this, the more casual this becomes for him. It's like not a big deal.
Okay.
So he's definitely more relaxed with the owner because he does trust her somewhat more, even though she's also using a prong collar and shock collar. But you can still see that the dog is stressed even with her. And I know it doesn't have anything to do with it, but they do have a very nice looking house.
And take him from you again. Okay, let's go. So let him make his own decision right there. Come. Yes, that's perfect.
Oh.
So see the difference. This was like only like the third time. He was very hesitant, but now he's realized all he needs to do is go with me, and it's fine. Everything.
Or now he realized that if I don't go with this guy, they're gonna yank me and hurt me. So I should go with them. That's not a good thing. It's not a good sign. Because again, the dog continues to show these fearful signs, right? His ears are down many times. He's panting. He's looking away. Like he said, he keeps looking for a way out. So not a good sign. Did he pull the dog at the prong collar? Right now he didn't, but he kept doing it before. So again, the dog learns that this is what's going to happen next. Let's see, when he steps out, nothing happens. I mean, when the dog was stepping away, it has pressure and pain from the prong collar and even yelped. So he learned that something bad does happen. Exactly. And that's why I say that using the prong collar can actually make things worse and doesn't teach the dog that, it's a good thing. It just teaches the dog that he's gonna experience more pain than he should behave in this way.
It is a habit for dogs. So if he realizes that this is how he works, even when the vet goes to get him from you, he will do the same thing. You give the leash and he just goes. Instead of, the more he feels like he needs to find a way out of that situation, the more he's going to panic, and he's never going to feel like that it's okay to just go with them and let them come in. So,
okay, I'm a vet. Just happens to be I'm a vet. Let me say something about that. Okay, because it's important, because I know that some vets did used to do it, or maybe some of them are still doing it. And especially during COVID, when we didn't want the owners to be inside of the building because of fear of exposure and all of that. When I see patients, I never take the dog away from the owners. Even when we try to do blood work or any sort of diagnostics, or giving vaccines or anything like that, I actually have the owners stand near the dog, petting the dog, giving the dog treats while I'm doing the examination or giving injections. There's no reason, unless we're taking the dog for some sort of procedure, there's no reason that I will force the dog on the table or I will take the dog away from the owners. Why? If the dog is crazy stressed, and sadly, many of them can be, because every time that they come to the vet clinic, they get injections and they smells of a sense of other dogs that are fearful. So, it's kind of like a vicious cycle. In severe cases, I might give them something to reduce the anxiety. I will send the owners home and give them some, trazodone or gabapentin, and say, okay, give that a few hours before you come here. That reduces the stress. It's not going to knock the dog out. It's not going to cause the dog to be a zombie. It's very safe, and it just reduces the anxiety. It's kind of like when people take Xanax before flight. Why not reduce the stress instead of forcing them to feel the stress? And then the next time that they come to visit me, if they're not on medications and they're so scared, next time they're going to be even worse. So, don't do that.
So
Come on in.
Leave it. So he would hey, leave it.
Thank you guys.
Come. So keeping him in check, but also getting him to move around a little bit. Come on, it's okay. Good boy. Good. Come. Leave it. So leash pressure, your body language, make sure you're really talking to him. Make sure your energy is directed towards him as well.
Leash pressure, when you have a prong on the dog, means that there's constantly things poking into the neck. So he's not even using the prong just to mark a specific behavior. And many times people that use prong collars will say, yeah, you only use it to correct the behavior. Like if the dog is now barking, let's tag on him. Or if the dog is now pulling, let's give a little correction. But in this case, it's constantly putting pressure on the dog's neck. So even those people that say, yeah, that's what the mother is doing to educate her pups, which is wrong, but even then, the mom is not gonna continuously hold pressure on the puppy's throat. So nothing natural about it, and it's even dangerous. It can cause all kinds of injuries, and it doesn't teach the dog anything.
Okay.
So you can tell he's just very nervous. That's why if I just tell him no, and I say right here, he's going to continue to stay nervous.
Yeah.
So it's important to keep him moving.
Uh-huh.
Good boy. So I'm correcting for the barking, or even.
But the dog is not barking. So what exactly are you correcting? He's not barking, and yes, as here this wrote, he says, leave it. But did the dog ever learn the meaning? Most likely not. And to me, it also looks like he's saying that leave it kind of randomly. Again, I might be wrong because I'm not there, but doesn't seem like it's actually causing what.
It just seems like he feels like he needs to be doing something about it. I'm kind of redirecting his attention, and I see how I had to keep him really busy. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah.
Like a lot of no, leave it, let's go, moving around until he.
Yeah. So again, like leave it, let's go, moving around. It doesn't make a lot of sense. It makes some sense because again, we actually want to create this counter conditioning, or you know what, even something called the operant conditioning or response substitutions. For example, we'll work with the dog on doing all kinds of cues and things that the dog already knows what they mean and already is associating with good things. We'll do them when the dog is aware of the strangers, but that he's still far enough away from them so he doesn't have any fearful reactions. And again, that will create this association between strangers and good things. Just walking around with the dog saying randomly leave it or pulling on the chain, that only makes the dog more confused and more fearful. And even if he'll stop showing the behavior, the barking that he keeps correcting according to him, he will not bark, but he will bite if he feels cornered.
He got a little bit calmer. When you get him to this level, then you just move around very calmly. Because right now he's neutral. He's following directions.
He's not neutral. He's afraid.
So you can go around here. Good boy. And then again, when you have the muzzle on him, then you feel even safer doing that because you can tell he's nervous, but he's really ready to follow directions.
With the muzzle, if the dog was trained to wear the muzzle, and the muzzle itself is not something that the dog hates and is kind of like a punishment for the dog, it is actually valid. I mean, I would sometimes have the dog wear a muzzle while the owners are training him. Again, if the dog doesn't see the muzzle as a bad thing, because it reduces even the stress that the owners are experiencing. And the dogs, dogs in general are very good at feeling our tension. So if we know that the dog is wearing a muzzle and he's not able to bite anyone, we're not as nervous. The dog feels it. The dog is not that nervous. But again, only if the dog is already used to wearing a muzzle.
Good.
And add, let me skip this. Just a second. Okay, let's see. I use the training methods of Zach George. Sorry, I'm just skipping the ad for a second, and I'll go back to that in a sec. Where is it? I use the training methods of Zach George to teach my dogs not to bark at visitors. It took half a year, but worked great. So Zach George is a reward-based trainer. He does work with very aggressive dogs. He also really doesn't like the dog daddy's techniques, which I kind of appreciate. And it doesn't always take 6 months. It depends on the dog. It depends on how much time you have to work with the dog. But the fact that it is possible even without hurting the dog is exactly my point. Okay, so let's go back to the video, not that the ad is over. Okay, so he is putting a muzzle on the dog. I'm not sure if the dog is used to wearing a muzzle or not. Hopefully he is.
Yeah, and then when he has the muzzle on.
Sorry, I forgot that you might not be able to hear me when I'm talking over the video. So he is putting a muzzle on the dog. Again, I'm not against working with a muzzle as long as the dog is used to wearing a muzzle. If the dog is, that's a punishment for him, that's actually a bad thing.
You basically, come.
Yeah.
Come. Good boy.
So this dog is not used to wearing a muzzle. You see how now he's actually anxious. He's now actually showing more of the behaviors like he did at the beginning, meaning that if the dog daddy got him to not respond earlier to the strangers, again, because he's being flooded and maybe even some learned helplessness, and he's just hiding what he feels, now he's so much in distress that he's showing these behaviors again. Also, you'll see he's like shaking his head and probably wants to try and take the muzzle off. So this is just the opposite of how to use a muzzle.
You can kind of just bring him there and let him hang out. Okay. He's actually looking for comfort with anyone right now because he's a nervous dog. So he's kind of like leaning towards anyone.
Yeah.
Or anyone but the dog daddy.
Come. Yes. Good boy. It's okay. You can. So if someone's going to pet him here, put him like this. Make sure that you're telling him what to do. You can pet him right there because he's going to be nervous at first. It's okay. Good boy. It's okay. Good job. Leave it.
Okay, so again, I want you to see what I'm seeing here when the lady is petting him. I'll try to stop on it. Let's see if you can also spot those
Make
things.
sure that you're telling him what to do. You can pet him right there because he's going to be nervous at first. It's okay. Good boy. It's okay.
So you see how he's still panting. The ears are down and the eyes. He's showing whale eyes. Kind of like you can see the white of the eyes. Kind of like the dog is looking from the side. You can actually see the whites around the eye. All of these are signs of stress. And when I see a dog doing those things, I know that he's afraid and I should stop touching him because he might be very close to biting me.
Good job. Leave it. You can keep petting. Yeah, because right now.
Leave what? You saw how he corrected the dog and said, leave it. a second after the lady is petting him, a second before the lady is petting him. This is so, even I don't understand what he's trying to do. So do you think the dog is? I mean, maybe the dog is smarter than I am, but I still don't understand what's going on here.
Now, so letting him kind of like, he's going through his fear right now. It's what I did before when I patted him, starting to lay down, relax. Now this is gonna be really interesting because you can tell he's very nervous. But the way that he's going to learn is based on repetition. So the more he goes back there and gets patted again by the same person, the faster he recovers from the fear that he has of her. Okay, let me walk him away. And then what you do is you always walk the dog away. Come. Good boy. Then we're gonna bring him back so he sees that it's not a big deal to walk back there.
Okay.
Yes. Good. You can pet him again. So again, for him, this is very straightforward. Some dogs, this is way more difficult for them. That's why every dog is the steps that they're going to take. You know, it's a little bit different. And how fast.
Yeah, I'm really confused. I really don't understand what the goals are. I'm gonna stop at this point because I think I'm just kind of like scrubbing through here, trying to see if maybe there's anything interesting that he's saying or showing, but it looks like from now on he's not actually doing too much. This is the first time that he's seeing the dog and working with the dog. So again, maybe next time he's going to do other things differently, but it's definitely not the way that I will start doing things. Let's see. Oh, here. So here this also wrote, what did he... Oh, you can see it. Sorry, showing. What did he want the dog to leave? I don't know, because the dog wasn't actually doing anything as far as we can see in this video. And Megan wrote, leave it, yes, come. When did he ever train this? What this mean to the dog? Exactly. If this is the first session, the dog might not even understand what it means. You remember maybe when I said that the dog needs to first, when you're doing the operant condition, when you're doing the kind of like the behavior substitution training, you want to work on things that the dog already knows, right? So if you're just randomly also starting to give cues that the dog doesn't know, and if in a very inconsistent way, it's gonna confuse the dog even more. And SC wrote, dog daddy teaching people how to pet a strange dog is so dangerous. They will get bit. Look how stiff the dog is. I hope the owners don't do that. Yeah, actually me too. But sadly, because the owners, even before they saw the dog daddy, they already worked with a punishment-based trainer, right? At the beginning of the video, the dog was actually wearing a shock collar. Then I don't think that they see anything wrong with the way that they're training the dog or the way that the dog daddy is going to train the dog. So let's see, I'll do this one comment and then I'll wrap it up because we're almost an hour after we started. If I see that, people like this, I'll keep coming back and do more videos about him or whoever you want me to do. And this is going to be uploaded or on the channel for, future people to watch. And you can write in the comments if there are anyone in specific you want me to review. So Miri is writing, I find it interesting that the dog went and sat down so fast next to the strange woman. He felt safer with her than with the dog daddy, even after the dog daddy is familiar to him now. I mean, at the second part. I mean, at the second time he went to her. Yeah, exactly. So I also mentioned that the dog was fine going and sitting next to anyone but the dog daddy. So what did he do? So now let's say that the owner is doing it. Okay, because the dog daddy is a stranger and an unfamiliar person. And now the owner is going to start doing this over and over and over again. The owner is going to be the one that's punishing the dog, or the owner is going to be always around the dog when the strangers are around, and he might actually start associating her with pain. It's not just he might. We have studies that show that owners that use techniques like this, aversive techniques, the relationship between the owner and the dog were worse or were even bad than relationship between owners that use reward-based training. And that actually led to more relinquishment, I can't say that word, relinquishment and euthanasia, right? So many times people write, no, the dog daddy saved so many dogs that would otherwise be euthanized. No, just the opposite. I mean, again, I don't know how many dogs he actually saved. That's all kind of like hearsay, and basically it's what he says. But if we go according to the statistics, dogs that are trained with techniques like that are more likely to be euthanized and are more likely to be surrendered to, a shelter or something like that. And then probably they're not going to be adopted because they might be aggressive or fearful than dogs that were trained with reward-based training. So, go and read those statistics. Go and educate yourself, and don't just follow blindly someone just because he has lots of subscribers and followers, and because he's showing, his very edited video. I'm not against anyone. I don't have anything personal against the dog daddy. I don't know him. I don't care too much about how he's dressing up or all of that. It's his choice. I have long, funny hair and crooked teeth. That's who I am. So that's definitely not my problem with the dog daddy. My problem is that so many people follow him, and I think he is actually causing a lot of harm because so many people follow him and think that the way that he's training dogs is the right way. And yes, I'm not actually showing you how I do it, because there's so many other videos around here with good trainers like Zach and others that do show it. So if you want to see someone do it the right way, you have so many people that do that. And that's about it. So thank you so much for those who joined me with this first live stream. I hope it wasn't too laggy, and I will see you next time. Write in the comments who else you would like me to review, or what else you would like me to change, things that you want me to talk about, etc. See ya.